Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Bash at the Beach 1997, Jeff.
What a show.
How did you find this match? We got Jericho, Ultimo Dragon, second match on the card. How did we pick this one?
Yeah, this one, it's kind of a crazy show when you're going through the card on this one.
Yes, right.
There all kinds of, we know what the main event was here, and that was kind of the big draw. And so some of these other matches kind of get lost because there was actually, again, I'm pulling up the ratings here. There was a lot of really good matches on this card. And so there was this one, the Steiner match, the 6-person tag with the Cruisers was highly rated, like 4 stars plus. And so, and for as much as we don't live and die by the stars around here, like it really does get overlooked. And so I wanted to make sure we were covering when we got a young Chris Jericho. We've never really done Ultimo Dragon. I remember being a big fan of Ultimo Dragon, though, when he was out there. And so, this is just one that, it sneaks under the radar because everybody's so busy talking about the main event on this one that you kind of got to stop for a second and be like, holy shit, there were some pretty good matches on this card too.
Yep. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to covering this one.
Yep, absolutely.
So, all right, let's get into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
All right, so we're back at the Ocean Center, which is the site of Bash at the Beach 1996, where Hulk Hogan famously dropped the leg on Randy Savage and turned into a dastardly heel. So July 13th, 1997, Daytona Beach, Ocean Center, 7,800 in attendance. So, Jeff, we start off with Mortis and Wrath defeating Glacier and Ernest Miller in 9 minutes.
Sure.
Then we get the match we're going to cover. Then it was the Steiner brothers defeating the Great Muta and Masahiro Chono in 11 minutes. Juventud Guerrero, Hector Garza, and Liz Mark Jr. are going to defeat La Parca, Psychosis, and Villano 4 in a 6-man tag match that went 10 minutes. Chris Benoit is going to defeat the Taskmaster in a retirement match in 13 minutes. Jeff Jarrett's going to retain his U.S. championship against Steve McMichael in 6 minutes. Randy Savage and Scott Hall are going to defeat Kurt Hennig and DDP in 9 minutes. Roddy Piper is going to submit Ric Flair in 13 minutes. And then the main event, Luger and Giant are going to defeat Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman in 22 minutes. So, like you said, a pretty robust card, a lot going on. I'd imagine people felt like they got their money's worth on this one. So how did we get to this cruiserweight match?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you said, this card really very much traditional WCW card of the cruisers go on first. You do some kind of bathroom matches, and then you get the NWO stuff and Hogan to kind of close out the show with your big names on this one. So Jericho, babyface persona going into this one, but really established himself as a top cruiserweight, just kind of going out there and having great matches, high energy, kind of fan favorite, all of that. Ultimo Dragon on the flip side, managed by Sonny Ono, also staple in the cruiserweight division. He had that kind of international reputation, flashy offense, same type thing. These two guys, there wasn't a ton of build. There wasn't a lot happening. It was really, again, like we said, the cruiserweight they would always have cruiserweights to open the show or kind of go second on the show or whatever it was. And they're just kind of getting those guys out there. And I know you and I have seen enough behind the scenes stuff to know Bischoff knew he had something here. And so that's why he kept doing it. Now, unfortunately, the top of the card had to be some of the other people, but had really good stuff kind of going, putting guys over or getting themselves over and getting over because of the type of matches that they were having and how good they were. And so really in the lead up to this, you had Jericho winning the cruiserweight title from Six. Of course, we all know X-Pac, Sean Waltman, just a few weeks before this on June 28th on WCW Saturday Night. So you've got Jericho is the champ. You got Ultimo Dragon is the challenger. Really not a lot that got it here other than their two cruisers, and you got a championship match. And sometimes, like we said before, you don't always need something more than that. And that's what we're getting.
Well, I'm looking forward to covering this one, man.
First Ultimo, like I said, I remember I had his action figure, of course, the old school ones. I remember being a fan, but I do not really remember Ultimo Dragon matches. So hopefully it's good.
Yeah, me too. I remember I enjoyed playing him on the video game.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right. Good deal. Well, let's get into the payoff.
Ho! It's time for the payoff.
Order. And even though I realize that Six is still the number one contender, you can't discount
Place looks packed.
Dragon has done.
Yep.
WCW always did a good job with the branding of their pay-per-views. The Bash at the Beach, the logo, the set for this, the logo in the middle of the ring. Always enjoyed their presentation. I actually thought that in this era, they presented their product better. I mean, Nitro was a little cooler. The pay-per-views had a little better branding. They were doing a good job. Remember, they were still competing with In Your Houses at this point.
Yeah, they were. Well, and this was the theme sets. That was always such a cool part of what they were doing, something different. And so, yeah, just really cool out there.
I get the hassle and logistical challenges of theme sets, but man, it's just it's cool when the sets matter,
Yeah, it really does. It adds something to it. So both guys in the blue here. And so, yep. And it'd be interesting to see here. So got to talk through this one a little bit. We didn't have, we've only got so much time. And so last week we talked a little bit about it, but our show opener, Jonathan Coachman, of course, the coach, it was recently kind of stating that he thinks in the next 18 months, TKO will push out Triple H. What are you thinking?
I mean, there seems to be some issue somewhere. Yep. Yes. Yep. Something with Triple H and The Rock and TKO. And I mean, it could all be made up, but it's out there enough in different ways that you start to think, maybe there is something there. I know it's fun to bash Triple H, just like people bashed Vince McMahon, just like people bash Eric Bischoff, just like everyone gets bashed, okay? And Vince was evil and we need to sell the company, but we can't sell it to Saudi. Well, okay, and we can't sell it to Disney because that would be weird. Okay, TKO. Oh no, TKO's bad now. Triple H was the internet darling a few years ago, and now he's awful and his booking's bad and blah, blah, blah. Man, be careful what you wish for. You got a guy who was in the ring for 20 plus years that studied under the most successful wrestling promoter in the history of the world.
Yep.
From all indications, is a really good human being. He's tied in with the lineage of the McMahon family. What are you going to do?
Who's better?
Who's better? Who on this planet is better in that position than Paul Levesque? Who?
Yep.
Okay, I don't trust Shawn Michaels in that role, and he's maybe the next man up. And if they got rid of Triple H, you think Shawn, he'd say, screw you guys. I got millions of dollars in the bank. I don't need this. I'm out.
Right.
Okay. I mean, what are you going to do here? So I hope this is just all fabricated and made up. I'll tell you, man, I want nothing to do with Dwayne Johnson. I think he's an asshole. I think he is selfish. I don't think he, from a wrestling standpoint, puts in the work. I mean, what's he going to do? He's going to sit in that seat. He's going to be heavily involved. He's going to be in Tulsa for TV tapings on Monday night. I mean, come on. So, man, but Nick Khan and The Rock are boys. Ari Emanuel and The Rock are boys. So The Rock may have tremendous influence. He may be able to do whatever he wants. Perhaps his buddy Brian Gerwitz is going to be sitting in that seat. I don't know, but man, there's just again, you don't know what's truth and what's and what's not reality. Okay,
right? We
just don't know. But to your point, Jeff, to me, the headline here is, who do you want in that seat? And I'd say the same thing with TKO. Okay, Vince McMahon was selling the company. So who was he going to sell it to? The Saudi government? Disney?
Right.
A TV network? I mean, who else was buying this thing for $6 billion? I don't think there's a better ownership than TKO. I just don't. And again, if you don't like it, look, here's what happens. Okay. People buy businesses every day. They buy them for $50 million. They buy them for $5 billion. What do? They look for efficiencies. They look how to make it run better. They look how to minimize costs, but grow the top line. This is how the world works. So too bad. And the thing is, you didn't like Vince McMahon when he owned the company anyways. What do you want?
Right.
Do you want this to be like a nonprofit? Oh, but hey, Jeff, we still got to pay the boys. So we need to have enough revenue coming in that we can pay everyone, and we can pay their medical bills, and we can pay them forever, and we can put them on Legends contracts. But I also want ticket prices to be really, really low. I want it to be $100 to sit on the floor at WrestleMania. But I want the boys to be taken care of. And I want every pay-per-view to be free. And I want everyone to have a title. And I want everyone to get pushed. I mean, you're living in a fantasy land here.
I think it's interesting because not only is it like, who do you want in that job? Who wants that job? Like, nobody wants that job. Like, there's no way. Like, it makes zero sense. Like you said, we want our everybody fan, like, we want our cake. We want to eat it too. Like, yeah, I think your point too, especially, which has been a good match so far, by the way, high flying, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah, like, I think it's a great point. Like $100 to sit on the floor at WrestleMania. Those days are dead. It's just not going to happen anymore. Like, especially like all the stuff we're hearing, like they want to continue to do Vegas. Like, I read that the hang up was, they kind of botched there a little bit. The convention center versus they didn't want to be in Mandalay Bay. And so making sure that they can get like that space again to do some of the other stuff. What you and I know, the convention center is not anywhere near any of that stuff. And so it's at the other end of the strip. And so that's, really interesting to see how they're playing out there. And I don't know what the long game is with that and like trying to stay in Vegas again. The reports recently have been like they know the shit they're getting for it online, and so they're going to try and fix it. But who knows? Like I don't know.
They're a business. So, yeah, they went. First of all,
they want to make money.
UFC's located in Vegas. There's a convenience factor, but guess what? They want to make money, and they look at it and they say, what venue is going to give us the most amount of money to host this? Well, it's Vegas. We can get the stadium cheap, or they'll pay us to use the stadium. We can get the convention center. I mean, it's plug and play. Yep. What's it called? The Fontainebleau. They threw them a fortune to be the official hotel. A fortune. Yeah. Who's doing that in New Orleans? Who's doing that in Minneapolis? So again, but it was tough on the fans to have to walk all the way over to Fontainebleau for the Hall of Fame. Do you think they give a shit about that?
Right. Yeah.
Now it's a fair question to say, are they testing fans too much with this? With 4-match shows, with ticket prices being high. Jeff, look, I don't think they are. I think they can get away with the things they're doing. And I think it's a vocal minority that are complaining about this stuff on the internet. I don't think it matters. And I've thought a lot about this. Do I miss $100 floor seats for WrestleMania? Yes. Do I prefer no ads on the canvas? Yes. But you're not putting the toothpaste back in the bottle. Okay? This is the world we live in. There are a lot of commercials during NFL games. In some ways, the WWE was way behind UFC and the NFL and Major League Baseball and everyone else. So a lot of this, they're just catching up to. They're just catching up to revenue generating opportunities, site fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I just, it's not about, do I have a problem with it? I mean, it's the way of the world. And I think there is a very vocal, small, tiny little niche. And then you have to ask yourself, are those people going to events anyways? Because it's funny, Jeff, you get people that go, I don't want WrestleMania in Vegas next year. Okay, well, if it was in New York City, would you have gone? No. Well, if it was in London, would you have gone? No. So then what the hell does your opinion matter? It doesn't matter. You're not buying a ticket. You're not attending the show live. You're not going to the convention. They don't care about you.
Right.
Are there 50 to 60,000 people that will converge on whatever city we choose, fill the stadium for 2 nights, fill the Hall of Fame, fill SmackDown, fill Raw, go and buy a bunch of merchandise at our convention? This year in Vegas, which has gotten to be more expensive, on Easter weekend, they had by far their best WrestleMania ever.
Yep.
So if they're testing the patience of fans, it is yet to be proven out by any metric. And remember, attending events live is one piece of things.
1, 2. Not the Dragon. 1, 2. Jericho rolls through on that one.
So great, fast-moving match. But just remember, the attendance, the going to things, the attending WrestleMania, the buying the expensive tickets, that's only one aspect of things. This is a much more complicated business. You have YouTube, you have Netflix, you have people sitting at home buying merchandise, you have corporate sponsors, you have other ancillary programs like they have on E, or not E. Well, they have E, then they have
Vice, they got shit. Yeah, that's everything.
This is a massive organization that this is not 1988 where the only way you make money is by people going and attending shows. And just one silly little example, bowl games.
Yeah.
How many times do bowl games have no attendance? But they're making money on TV. That's all they care about. So,
yep.
Hell of a
I remember a long time. That's why the Longhorn Network stuck around as long as it could, because they weren't going to say no to their contract because they were getting paid. Like Texas didn't give a shit. It was a paycheck every year. So, yeah, some of that's. I think your point. You make an accurate point here. It is. We are in a weird time. Like part of it too is the exposure of it. Like in 2025, compared to even 2005, we just know a lot more about the business. There's a lot more out there. Like this behind the scenes shit is way more prevalent than it's ever been. Like kayfabe is dead in a lot of ways. Like it would have never talked about these contracts or any of that stuff. But here we are, like, analyzing it as a whole business and kind of what's going to happen. Do I think the landscape in 18 months is going to, even 12 months by next Mania, is going to look very different? Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I don't know why Triple H is getting shit on so hard right now for the booking. Quick little roll up there. Jericho snuck one.
Jericho's lucky. It could have gone either way.
his face. He earned that one, and he realizes how close he came.
What a great, good match, good finish. But I love Jericho, the heel, basically like surprised he won. And I always liked Jericho as a cruiserweight because he was just a little bit different than some of the other ones.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, to put a bow on it.
Finish your thought.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to put a bow on it, it's really one of those, like, I don't know why he's getting shit on so hard, but he is. It's not awful booking. We've had way worse. I don't think we realize how good we do have it right now. And so, it's not going to get to the point where he's going to get kicked out for that, but of that role. But I don't know what happens in order to change some people's minds on this. So it'll be, like I said, the next 12, 18 months is just going to be wild. Yep.
It always is. The last 18 months were wild. The next 18 months are wild. It's fun to go on Twitter and discuss these things, and it's fun to speculate. But at the end of the day, man, I think we have to remember, at least this is my viewpoint on it. It is an awesome time to be a fan. There is a ton of wrestling. It's free. It's available on streaming. You've got pay-per-views. You've got Saturday night's main events. You've got a Netflix show that's far better than Raw used to be. That SmackDown's better than it used to be. I mean, it's just, and again, if you want to sit here and hate watch, why do that to yourself? Why let professional wrestling bother you?
Right.
I don't get it. So, all right, good stuff, man. Let's get into the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right, what'd you think?
Very good. Like we talked through it, all kinds of different stuff, but I think it was really good. The match was a lot of action. It was nonstop. Both guys were in the air quite a bit. Like it was a really good cruiserweight match for what it was.
I liked it. I mean, fast paced. I like both guys a lot. I thought it was a really good match. We don't really do that anymore. The cruiserweight division thing. I mean, we haven't in forever. I don't know. It'll be. It's probably better that you commingle everything than have these different divisions. And but it was, in this era, it was fun to have that one or two matches on a card where they just kind of went balls to the wall.
And that's exactly what happened here. Yeah. So the aftermath on this one, kind of what we're looking at, Jericho continued to be cruiserweight champ for a few more months. He was a little bit more babyface on this one, but started turning heel. And then eventually in early 1998, so at the big start of the next year, became the man of 1,004 holds, kind of building up that persona as well too. Ultimo Dragon just kind of never really had another title shot, but it was just kind of cool in the cruiserweight division, and that was kind of it. And so, but good wrestler. I'd find another match if I could, just to kind of see what's happening there. But just it never really got back to the top like he was. So, but as we all know, like you said, the Bash at the Beach, it was really remembered for the main event more than anything, but it stood out as a really good undercard match on this one. So, 1997, Jericho was 26 in PWI, Ultimo Dragon number 12. This was behind that 6-person tag match. This was the second best match, only by 2 votes in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. As is typical with WCW, when it comes to the wrestling, it was the undercard that stole the show, with the 2 best matches being the Cruiserweight title match between these two and an amazing aerial circus involving the 6 men. The 2 shook hands after the match for all the praise Dean Malenko gets and deserves as far as technical ability. There's nobody in the U.S. who can touch Dragon as an all-around technical wrestler. Jericho missed a few spots, but overall, this was by far his best match since arriving in WCW. 4.25 stars. Woo.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what are you thinking?
I mean, I have this at a 7. I thought it was good. I wasn't blown away, but I thought it was a really good match. What about you?
Yeah, I was at a 7.5 going into this one, or coming out of this one rather. And so, yeah, I thought that it was really good. Nothing to complain about. Yeah, okay, a couple missed spots here and there, but for the most part, though, they didn't take away anything. Like, I think it was a little bit more noticeable now in 2025 than it was in 1997, but it's still really interesting, really good. Like, it is a fun one to watch. Like, it is one of those we're kind of go check it out. Maybe after this, we'll add that 6-person tag match to our list as well too. Maybe kind of watch both those on this card and then the main event to see what it's about. So yeah, not a bad show to go back to.
Agreed. This is a good one, man. Good find on this one.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. We're sticking with WCW next week. Going back a little bit earlier, 1992, but another summer Great American Bash next time.
I'm pumped, man. All right, this was good. We'll see everyone next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.